Live in Western Oregon, this is NBC 16 News at 5:30.
Much more satisfied today than I was a month ago.
Lane County public health officials say they've met the requirements to start phase 1 of reopening Lane County. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Jacqueline Mazer. Those 7 benchmarks were laid out by Governor Kate Brown last month. NBC 16's Stephanie Rothman explains what this means for Lane County.
Those health officials getting the ball rolling and gearing up towards reopening, while also erring on the side of caution.
Lane County senior health official Dr. Patrick Luckey says in order to get there, the health board must ask Governor Brown. By showing her the county's progress, the hope is she'll greenlight plans for slowly lifting restrictions.
We're getting close to the time where we can say it's reasonable to consider, and of course you don't want to flip the switch in one day, you got to prepare.
Governor Brown outlined 7 guidelines that need to be met. The county says they've met many of those benchmarks, including declining cases, increased testing, a contact tracing system, and personal protective equipment. If open for phase 1, residents could gather in groups of 10 inside. This includes reopened businesses, restaurants, and venues, but only if staff are able to keep it clean and maintain social distancing.
We have to reopen with the thought that we might reclose, and we have to be prepared to do it on a moment's notice.
He believes the data shows if things keep going the way they are, Lane County will be allowed to reopen, but we have to be careful.
We can't just reopen and say, hey everybody, school's out, go enjoy your summer. That sort of feeling that we used to have when we got done with school, because the virus is going to come back. None of us can predict how bad it will be, but it's going to come back.
Governor Brown said some rural counties could reopen as soon as May 15th, something Luckey says is a possibility for Lane.
Whether or not Lane County does in fact reopen mid-May, that's something we will be looking at in the coming weeks. Reporting from my home, I'm Stephanie Rothman.
Meanwhile, more cases of coronavirus are being reported in Lane County, this time for those who are barely showing symptoms. Last week, Public Health announced they were advising providers to ramp up testing, encouraging people with mild symptoms to get tested. 5 new cases were reported since the announcement was made. A woman in her 50s who was tested from Eugene Springfield didn't show many symptoms, according to health officials.
Now, this individual was identified through testing, didn't show a lot of symptoms, and really didn't feel as though her symptoms really necessitated testing, but through contact tracing, we were able to identify the need for that testing and get her tested, and she was positive.
There are 55 cases in Lane County. 37 of those patients recovered. All individuals currently known to have coronavirus in the county are recovering at home. Let's turn to coronavirus numbers statewide now. Oregon Health Authority announced 80 new cases and 4 deaths. Oregon now has more than 2,800 cases and 113 deaths. Less than 450 of those cases are hospitalized patients. In our region, Benton County added 3 more cases, jumping up to 39 cases. Linn County has the most in our region. It added another case, making that a total of 98 now. Here in Lane County, we remain at 55 cases. Deschutes County added 1 case and has 80 cases. Douglas County stands at 24. Coos County maintains 28 cases, all but 1 case from the Shutter Creek Correctional Institute. Governor Brown announced a limited reopening of some recreation sites, state parks and ski areas today, but this does not include Columbia River Gorge parks and recreation areas as well as coastal areas. Governor Brown says those areas are not ready for visitors and that the Oregon Parks and Recreation Department will coordinate with local jurisdictions and partners in Washington to reopen. The Oregon Parks spokesperson is already making sure safety measures and proper CDC guidelines are being followed.
Is the park manageable? Is it a place where we're not going to have such huge crowds that we can't help people maintain physical distance from each other? That's why it's such a small list to start, and then it will slowly grow as we see Oregonians are ready to cooperate and help us keep these parks manageable.
Well, it's important to note not all restrooms will be open, so plan to bring your own soap, water, hand sanitizer, and toilet paper. Parking will also be limited. The governor also announced state park camping will return as soon as it can be safely managed. Next Monday, the governor is expected to announce even more parks set to reopen. Well, here's a look at various parks in Oregon that are now open to the public. Tryon Creek in Portland, Willamette Mission north of Kaiser, Mongold Boat Ramp at Detroit Lake, State Capitol State Park in Salem, the Cove Palisades Boat Ramp at Lake Billy Chinook near Culver, Prineville Reservoir Boat Ramp near Prineville, Joseph Stewart boat ramp on Lost Creek Lake near Shady Cove. Pilot Butte is open to pedestrians only in Bend. Turning now to a live look at the White House in Washington. Congress is back to work on a new recovery package. National correspondent Atra El-Nashar explains problems in the last round of spending and what's being done to correct those mistakes.
The more data we have, the sooner we have it, the better we can make the program.
An attempt by Senate Democrats to pass legislation and add more transparency and oversight of emergency loans and grants given to businesses failed Tuesday afternoon.
To add an additional requirement without thinking it through would have unintended consequences of potentially slowing the program down.
The law would have required frequent detailed reporting of the distribution of loans and grants. This after much of the Paycheck Protection Program's first round of funding went to some large companies, slighting other small businesses.
The mechanics of the operations of this programs have fallen far short of what the intent was.
Some, though, say the PPP has been a success, issuing hundreds of billions of dollars, saving millions of jobs. Another unintended issue brought on by the CARES Act is some employers are struggling to hire workers who, because of boosted unemployment benefits, are actually making more money now than they did when they had a job. And those benefits are set to last until July 31st.
If you tell them that they can make more money not working, you made the decision really easy for them.
Senator Tim Scott says he and other Republicans tried to stop this from being included in the CARES Act and are working to recraft it in the next package.
If you're making $24 an hour, we should pay you $24 an hour because of the coronavirus. But if you're only making $20 an hour, we should have a system nimble enough to pay you $20 an hour.
As some lawmakers work to make sure the next package brings efficient relief to Americans and businesses, negotiations can't fully begin until the House returns to Capitol Hill. In Washington, I'm Atra El-Nashar reporting.
Of course, we saw the break of the clouds and the sunshine did return to at least those of us in the valleys out along the coast, holding on to the cloud coverage a little bit more. But the sunshine did allow our highs to warm up nicely yet again today across western Oregon. Now, not record-breaking by any stretch of the term, but nonetheless, it was very nice and mild across our area. Radar and satellite over the past several hours showing the thick cloud coverage still hanging over the coastal spots, but those of us in the valleys enjoying that sunshine. We did manage to squeeze out just a couple of raindrops into the rain gauge today, at least in Eugene and Coos Bay, with just a couple of 100ths of an inch. And there's those overcast skies starting to creep their way back into our area this evening. But of course, the rain returns tonight. Summer-like temperatures by the end of the week. I'll have all those details in just a few.
All right, thanks, Josh. Looking forward to both the rain and the sunshine out there. Well, primary election ballots are due in 2 weeks, and on the South Coast, voters have their eye on two measures in North Bend. NBC 16's Amanda Slee explains.
Driving down Broadway in North Bend, you'll see campaign signs for two measures. One measure, 6-176, asks voters if the power to add or increase fees should be changed from the city council to those who live in the city. The other measure, 6-177, asks voters if they want the public safety fee to be reduced from $30 to $15.
It's important for the city to understand that the government that they want is not the government that the people of North Bend can afford.
Here in North Bend, spokesmen for the police and fire department are urging voters to vote no on reducing the public safety fee.
If Measure 6-177 passes, we will see a reduction of 28% of our firefighters, and that will take us off the fire trucks and we won't be available to respond to as many emergencies.
For police, it eliminates services from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. and certain low-level crimes wouldn't be responded to.
It's a detriment to the entire community. It's unsafe and it's not the logical answer. We need to keep our staffing levels where they are so that we can respond and keep the community safe.
Aldridge from the Citizens for Good Faith Government Group says they are not against public safety, but feel the fees could have been handled better.
If you vote no on 177 and 176, you are giving the city unlimited privilege to reach into your pocketbook anytime they need more money for any other fee.
It will be up to voters to decide. Ballots must be in by 8 p.m. on May 19th. Reporting in Coos County, I'm Amanda Slee.
A Coburg firefighter and EMT is packing his bags ready to join the fight against coronavirus in New York City. Colin Klein says his flight leaves early tomorrow. He'll join a team of medical professionals helping battle the COVID-19 outbreak there. He is aware of the risk. Some first responders died during the fight, and Klein says that concern is always in the back of his mind.
So I'm going to be as safe as I can, and look out for my team members as well. And we've had training with Coburg Fire and with other stuff in the EMT stuff here. So I feel prepared enough. Time change because I'm a late.
Klein says he will help out on the East Coast for at least 2 weeks. He says he's currently the only Coburg firefighter heading to New York. Well, coming up on your only local news at 5:30, some schools across the country may not be holding graduation ceremonies at all, but we'll show how one high school in Roseburg is celebrating seniors.
Ahead for us, an NBC News exclusive as we go inside trials for a coronavirus vaccine, why its makers think it could be ready this year. Also, meat in short supply and prices climbing, when things may improve when we see you on NBC Nightly News.